Councillors to the special meeting of Council Wednesday, 14 May. So if we can start off, please, with Councillor Minari, if you could do the prayer, please.
Almighty God, be with us as we work for the people of the Shire of Moorabool. Grant us wisdom that we may care for the Shire as true stewards of your creation. May we be aware of the great responsibilities placed upon us. Help us to be just in all our dealings, and may our work prosper for the good of all. Amen.
Yeah, Councillor Bingham, maybe you could do the acknowledgement of country, please.
I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to the elders past and present and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today.
Thank you, Councillor Bingham. For the record, Mr CEO, we are all present, so we have no apologies. At this point, I'll ask if there's any disclosures of conflicts of interest in this special meeting of Council. There's none of those. There's no presentations or deputations, so we'll walk straight into customer and corporate service reports. The first item being 7.1, 2025-26 revenue and rating plan. There's a recommendation in the papers moved by Councillor Ward. Do we have a seconder? So that's Councillor Taylor. Do we have any objections? Those in favour? So carried. Righto, we'll move on to item 7.2, the 10-year financial plan 2025 to 2035. Councillor Ward to move. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Berry to second it. Any objections? Yes. No objection there, so I could ask Councillor Ward, please, to start the debate.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Council has a requirement with the State Government and Local Government Act to adopt a long-term financial plan, so it is complicit upon us to do so. And the fact is that we only have one long-term financial plan in front of us tonight to endorse. We don't have an opportunity to consider any other long-term financial plans. So I've gone through the long-term financial plan. I note that Council has approved its Council plan to go out for public comment, and that Council plan that we've signed off over the next 4 years is dependent on us having a long-term financial plan that ensures the financial sustainability of Council.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Councillor Sullivan, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My reason for opposing this motion is the fact that it's predicated on a rate increase in this financial year that Council has not decided on. So it's actually putting cart before horse. So from a process point of view, I think it shouldn't actually proceed at this juncture because we haven't actually decided. So everything is built, it's a cumulative effect going forward. We have not locked in a rate increase for this year, yet it appears in this document. So I think really it shouldn't be the case. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I was at Councillor Berry, was it? Yes.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I think councillors have worked tirelessly to come up with a long-term financial plan. Of course, it's a plan that, when you look at the future, is very, very difficult to pinpoint it to its exact positioning of where we're going to be. But I think it's a very solid long-term financial plan. It brings us into respectful financial planning for the future, gives an idea of councillors where they're sitting. As far as council's not agreeing on the rate increase, I think it's respectful to say in prior years we have gone with what's been thrown at us from the Victorian Government, and yeah, I endorse this 10-year financial plan in its entirety at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Any other councillors wish to speak for or against? No. Councillor Ward, close the debate, please.
No, thank you very much, Mr Mayor. As I said, I'll start with the point I made during the introduction. We just released our council plan 2025 to 2029 for public feedback, and in this we've committed to being a financially responsible council. We've committed to enhancing Moorabool's livability by delivering our capital works program and reducing our asset renewal gap. We have over $1 billion worth of assets, and the cost of maintaining those assets for the benefit of the community is financially challenging. And against that backdrop, we are expected to have a population growth to 73,000 by 2046. So the needs to meet a growing community and maintaining our current assets and ensuring the livability for our community and residents of Moorabool is dependent on us being a financially responsible council that provides good governance and benefit and well-being to our community, and that extends to having responsible financial decisions. So on that basis, I absolutely endorse our long-term financial plan, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. So we'll take it to a vote. Those in favour? Motion's carried. Okay, we'll move on to item 7.3. Consideration of the proposed budget 25-26 annual budget to go into consultation. There's a recommendation. Councillor Ward, you're moving it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Berry to second it. Do we have any objections? Yes. Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Ward.
Thank you very much again, Mr Mayor. Look, I'll just repeat my earlier comments. The budget has been prepared to go out for public consultation. This is a legislative requirement under the Local Government Act that we go out to the community and authorise the CEO to give public notice and invite feedback on our budget. We don't have another budget to present. If someone wanted us to consider another budget, that budget should have been up for consideration to go out for public comment. So this is the budget that will enable us to meet our Local Government Act requirements and go out and ask the community for feedback on what is proposed. They'll look at the services we're proposing, they'll look at the capital infrastructure spend, and it's very important to invite the ratepayers of Moorabool to have the opportunity to go out to give us that feedback. I think it's a financially responsible budget, and it's in line with our council plan that we've just, again, I'll go back over what I said earlier, our council plan that we've just endorsed to go out for community comment. So you can't have one without the other, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Councillor Sullivan, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I note on page 14 of this document before us tonight, it notes it's predicated on a proposed rate increase of 3%. I would put it to council as council is not determined to adopt a 3% rate increase. If you can tell me where it happened, I would like to know. I know it will be said that the special meeting here tonight is where council will consider this. We have not seen the property valuations in other years, as we have in other years, to determine the impact of rate charges on the various rating categories and properties in Moorabool. To me, the budget process has been very disappointing, with little substance for councillors to obtain a good understanding of the impact on their communities. I've been on council for a long time, and this process we've gone through more recently is the poorest I've actually experienced in all the years I've been on council. We also have the emerging property services levy will increase the burden on our communities. The rate on residential properties will increase from the current 8.7 cents per thousand CIV, capital improved value, to 17.3 cents per thousand CIV, while farming properties will increase from 28.7 cents per thousand CIV to 83 cents, which is a significant uplift. There's also fixed charges associated with this increase. It's fair to say, Mr Mayor, our communities are hurting. Cost of living pressures are greatly impacting all our communities. Drought conditions in Moorabool Shire are severely impacted farmers in this shire. With the looming winter and shortage of feed, our farmers are doing it tough. Council needs to have some empathy for what is happening outside the walls of council. It is interesting, in the council plan, which was cited by my colleague just a little while ago, Strategic Objective 3 states, a council that listens and adapts to the needs of our evolving communities. This statement regularly appears in council reports and is cited on tonight's agenda. I believe we should walk the talk. The communities of Moorabool are having to tighten their belts, and so should council. I know it will be said that without 3% rate increase, the proposed swimming pool in Bacchus Marsh will be put in jeopardy, and the arguments about compounding interest will be used. I doubt very much the pool in Bacchus Marsh will be built in the term of this council. Other loans will mature before council will be required to find additional loan fund borrowings for the pool. And we also argued the 3% rate increase in rates at services will be reduced. Just remember that council has nearly $7 million in cash reserves. $7 million, of which approximately $2.9 million is discretionary. $2.9 million does also not include, for those councillors who were here at the time, the COVID levy, which I understand, which was raised some years ago, which is approximately $700,000. With reference to the 3% rate increase, it equates to approximately $1.2 million. One of the reserves that we have is the industrial estate reserve, which is nearly $630,000, is a result of land sales from 2013, 2014. That's how long it's been sitting there, nearly 10 years sitting there. Other notable reserve is the closed landfill reserve, which has over $1.4 million sitting in it. The funds within the discretionary reserves should be interrogated to determine what is the required amount to be retained for the next 12-month period. We should know whether, in fact, our landfill levy, what monies may be required. It's a standby, I appreciate, but do we need $1.4 million sitting there, just idly? There's also a carried forward amount of approximately $9.5 million carried forward from the Capital Works program, which suggests that there will be need for less money required in the area for the 25-26 budget. The proposed 3% is taken from last year's budget. It does not take into account the supplementary valuations that would have come in the interim. So the 3% will be applied to last year's budget. So over that period, in the last 12 months, there would have been supplementaries. We will be told that there wasn't many supplementaries, but the fact of the matter is there will be some supplementary monies coming in. I believe to impose a 3% rate increase on our communities that are hurting and hurting badly is unjust. A zero rate increase at this time would be the appropriate response. I believe we would just have to pause, take time out if you like, that's all. I'm not suggesting that we have zero forever and a day, but just for a time being. Councillors, I'd ask you to oppose this motion and consider deferring the matter until we as councillors have all the information and the full impact of the zero rate increases, as well as also the property valuations, which in other years we have this had well in advance so we can see what's going on. I know it is said that we'll be operating on the timelines, then we have to make a decision tonight. All I would say to that is I would rather a late decision than a bad decision. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Berry, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We're talking about the council plan, how it does align with the long-term plan, also aligns with this current budget, and I think over history, council plans have always aligned with the budget. The 3% increase is lower than the CPI, and I think this budget shows responsible planning while maintaining essential services and infrastructure. Councillors have planned, we've worked on this budget for some time. I think that tonight's the night where we allow this to go to public submission. In prior years, we've talked about how difficult councils have to manage with rate capping situation. This 3% has come from the rate capping situation. If we go below the 3%, we're putting our council in a position where are we going to look at reducing what services? And I said, I'll reiterate again, the council plan is already out there, and that a council plan and budget usually intertwine. And we can't really supply on supplementary income. I'm looking at other years where we were relying on certain areas of supplementary income, and it just didn't happen. As far as this budget aligns with our long-term financial plan, as I did talk about, to finally bring an indoor swimming pool to the people of Moorabool, an absolutely long-awaited and much-needed community asset for all age groups of our community, just not one age group. It does push forward for all age groups. And rates are one part of revenue, and they're the most significant revenue service for council, but they're not all revenue. It is below CPI. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors for or against? Councillor Minari.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to say a few words. Obviously, we're very aware that this is the first budget for a new council term with no wards. So it's a bit new for us because wards often would come into effect in terms of the passion of a councillor fighting for their ward and making sure that our wards were seen and heard and consulted in the pool. So I'll be honest, I've been a bit disappointed in that pool in terms of the areas that may have been a little bit forgotten, you know, and I've always been a big advocate for our small towns, and I just wish this budget sort of dabbled in that space a bit more, and also to go into a little bit more depth. I feel that it's a bit of a higher level budget that probably doesn't bog down to enough information in that space. The big one for me in this budget is the fact that we still haven't seen the Valuer General report. It's something, you know, and I don't know whether that's state government dropping the ball here. Usually we would have had the Valuer General in, we would have consulted with them, we would have had time to ask questions, and we haven't at all, and we haven't seen that report. So I can't myself vote on this budget without seeing that, because that sits in that, you know, space of rate rises, and I just, it feels very uncomfortable for me to make a decision in that matter. We then have the Emergency Services and Volunteers levy or tax, or whatever, how you want to explain it. It's been a huge week for our residents, and I would say that there's a large population of our residents that haven't cottoned on yet about this tax, and we saw yesterday the people at the steps, and we'll probably see a lot more tomorrow. And I'm very mindful of how that's going to affect our residents. So, you know, you look at that area of the decisions that are being made, but also adding the cost of living crisis to our Moorabool Shire residents. And it's all getting quite a bit too much to deal with. So I'm also I would have liked to have seen a proposed rate of 0% and seen those figures to see what we're looking at. That's not in this document today, which I'm surprised at. I thought we would have had different options to look at and for our residents to explore. So I think I'll leave it at that. I think that's all my points that I've wanted to cover off, and so thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I fully endorse Councillor Sullivan's comments. We've got $9.4 million carry over in our civil works, which will help our budget if we go for a zero rate rise next year. Pardon me. We also have our supplementary valuations, which I don't know how much they are, but I've noticed there's been quite an increase in the last month and a half of building activity again. And as Councillor Sullivan said, this is not a 0% rate rise for the next 10 years. It is a 0% rate rise at the moment for 1 year.
I'll just remind councillors that this is for consultation, and the reason why we've allowed the figures to come in, because they were in the initial debate, and that's why it's been included. And so once it's introduced, it entitles everybody to debate that process. But we need to also keep in mind that the decision tonight is about consultation. Yes.
And as far as the swimming pool goes, no one's a greater supporter of the swimming pool than what I am, but I don't see the swimming pool is going to happen in the next, certainly not in the next year. And when it does come along, we'll have 25 million proposed by the government. So where we'll need loan funds, we probably won't even start drawing down on those loans funds for, I would guess, 4 years. So I certainly endorse Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I do have a bit concerns. This is my first budget, and I'm fortunate, same as Councillor Vendetti Taylor is, we haven't worked with wards. We're open to all of them. And I suppose what Councillor Sullivan is saying, I'd like to know more about what are in reserves, what is there. I'm not going to preempt what I'm going to vote on, the 3% or what, but I would just like more information. That's what I would like.
I'll just note that no one's foreshadowed a secondary motion too. I just wanted to note that. Councillor Freeman,
that's it. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak for or against? Councillor Ward, close it down, please.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I'm disappointed that tonight's discussion has become one about, we are here, consideration of the proposed 25-26 annual budget. Going out as required under the Local Government Act for public consultation, we're asking the residents of Moorabool to comment on proposed rate increases and annual waste services charges, proposed capital improvement program. And Councillor Keogh is right. We're not here to talk about when the pool will get built. We're talking about the next 12 months. So if you look at our proposed draft budget, a decision on if we weren't to go with the recommended rate increase by the Essential Service Commissions means that one of those projects in there won't be delivered, or possibly two of them. And we're talking about kindergarten improvements, we're talking about rec reserve improvements, we're talking about active loops, we're talking about reduced investment on roads. Over the last 4 years, we've sat in dismay at council, and we have seen the Essential Services Commission rate cap at a total of 9.5%. Over that same period, inflation has grown to 23.03%. That's 14% less revenue that councils had to manage with. There is no fat. There is no discretionary income. If we have been working on this proposed budget for some months, we're not here to debate the rates tonight. We're debating whether we send the budget out for comment or not. We have had ample opportunity to ask the CEO or the council or the officers to prepare an alternate budget to go out for comment, but we haven't done it. So I'm dismayed and I can't understand why we're having this discussion. We will come back in 6 weeks and we will debate the rates then, after we get the community's feedback, after we get feedback from industry, after we get feedback from farmers, after we get feedback from people that have vacant land. That's when we'll make an informed decision, because then we'll have the value of generals information as well. And we may well see that property prices in some cases have gone down and rates have decreased. So tonight's not about the rates. I think it's been a misdirection making tonight about the rates. It is not about the rates tonight. It is saying we have a budget, the budget we've all worked on for several months, and we are now inviting the community to comment on it and give them their feedback. If we had wanted to put an alternate budget up, we should have done that a month ago. I'll leave it at there, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, I'll have a question before we take it to a vote. Is there an obligation on the state government to provide that information, such as the Value of Generals report, prior to us taking it out to public consultation? Mr CEO, that's probably...
No, happy to take that. No, there's not. There's an obligation that all of that information has to be available prior to the budget, and we have just recently received that, and we're working through it now at the moment. So, the
Question, Councillor Sullivan.
The question is, when did we receive the valuations from the Valuer General? When did they come in?
Please.
The Chair, I received it yesterday. I haven't had a chance to go through it, but the presentation of where they're coming in, so they will be coming in and giving a presentation to Council, and I believe that the valuations were also received at a similar time last year. So the valuations are now done by the Valuer General's office. It's outsourced through them, and we work to their timetable.
All right, well, I'll have a secondary question then. It's so if, for example, the budget is late because of an information flow, is that a reasonable excuse to state government?
Through the Chair, I think there's many reasons why things are late. I can't really say what's a valid excuse and what isn't a valid excuse. I know other councils haven't received evaluations at this moment in time as well, and the government have actually changed the legislation that a lot of the consultation for budgets can now be done prior to Christmas, which is actually pre the valuations being done full stop, so they wouldn't be possible to be given at that moment in time. So the statutory period of the 28 days, the government changed the legislation in the last act, and if you look at Hepburn and Golden Plains, they actually done their consultation well beforehand, and we will be reviewing the process going forward. But I think it's safe to say that with the way the legislation is drafted, they don't see the rating data as being integral to the consultation process.
Okay. Councillor Minari, you have a question?
Yeah, I've got a question. Is this the first that they've been late for Moorabool?
Through the Chair, well, it depends what you mean by late. It's not late to them, but from my understanding is for the last 2 years we've actually received this information very late in the piece.
Okay, no other questions, Councillor? So I'll take it to the vote. Those in favour? The motion fails. So no one's, so it lays on the table because no one's foreshadowed a motion. So we'll have to come back here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we are, sorry. Yeah. We can, we'll wait till we go offline if you like. Yes. All right, councillors, let's get... Yes. Yes. Sorry, well, yes, you can call a division, yes, because we haven't moved on to the next item. So are you calling a division? All right, could I have those who are in favour, please stand. Oh, well, put your hand up, stand. Those against? Yeah. Did someone write all that down? Thank you. Righto. Moving right along. Yes, Councillor Sullivan, your question. Yes. Oh, yes, that's what I'm moving into. Yes.
All right, on to this.
Yes.
Truncate the meeting beforehand.
Move on to 8.1, notice of motion number 330, drought funding relief opportunities.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think this, I probably don't need to expand upon this, but basically the rationale is that a number of councils in southwestern Victoria have received or gone into drought relief, those municipalities, and this is to explore the opportunities, what is the eligibility, so that we may see where the opportunity exists for our farmers who are also experiencing similar climatic conditions as those in other parts of the state. So it's really just to explore it, to see what opportunities there are and what role council might play in that. So that's all it is at this stage. Thank you.
So moved by Councillor Sullivan. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Bingham. Do we have any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Righto, there's no other business. of council. Well, there's no urgent business in my report. So we'll call that the meeting closed. If the councillors wish to have a discussion after we go offline, I'm happy to do that.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, do we need to have a discussion or wait to see what the valuations are?
No,